Hello and welcome to another video in Foundations of Maternal and Newborn Health. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the ovarian cycle. Ovarian cycle. So in the last video, we talked about the uterine cycle and what happens to the endometrium over time during the menstrual cycle. And in today's video, we're going to be focusing on the ovary. So again, the ovary sits kind of beside the uterus, and it's really what holds all of a woman's eggs. So if we look at the ovary up close, so this is a picture of the ovary or a diagram of the ovary really close. So this is the ovary. So we're looking really closely at the ovary here. All of these yellow dots are what's known as follicles. Follicles. And each follicle has a single egg. So in blue here, these are all eggs. So each follicle only has a single egg, and a woman has many, many follicles and many eggs. We're talking millions of follicles and eggs that she's born with. And so each month, a few of these follicles and eggs actually mature. So that's drawn in here. So right after menstruation, a few of these follicles will begin to mature. So again, these are our follicles. And again, in blue, these are eggs. Okay, so a few of these follicles will begin to mature. And when we say mature, really what we mean is they'll begin to grow. So these millions of follicles inside of a woman's ovaries, they're all dormant. They're all like, you can think of them as sleeping. They don't really do anything. But each month, a handful of them, approximately 10 to 12, so we'll say 10 eggs or 10 follicles each month, will wake up and they'll start growing. So although 10 to 12 will start growing or start maturing, only one will actually survive and continue to grow. So we'll draw that here. So only one will actually go on to grow. And let's say it's this middle one, this middle follicle here, which will continue to grow. These other follicles will actually die off. So these follicles will die. In this middle follicle with an egg, it will be the one that goes on to continue to grow. So it'll keep growing. Keeps growing. So only one keeps growing. And so this follicle will continue to grow even more. So this follicle will continue to grow even more until the egg actually bursts out of the follicle. So again, this here in yellow, this is the follicle. And this over here in blue is the egg that's bursted out of the follicle. So it's released by the follicle. And I've drawn this as this really big image, but these are really, really small inside of the ovaries, and a single egg is released from the ovary, usually a single egg, and it travels down the fallopian tube. Again, we talked about this in the last video on the uterine cycle. But this egg will be released by the ovary and then sit in the endometrium. So this egg is released from the follicle, and again, this is called ovulation. Ovulation. But the follicle's job isn't done after this. So once the follicle releases the egg, the follicle's job isn't done. It still keeps growing. So the follicle keeps growing. And once the follicle loses the egg, the follicle is now called the corpus luteum or luteum. Okay, however you want to pronounce it. So the corpus luteum, so this is the follicle that's now lost the egg, and it's called the corpus luteum. It has a really important job in that it produces hormones. So it produces hormones, and in the next video we'll talk about what these hormones are and what they do. So from here, the corpus luteum can do two things. So if your egg doesn't get fertilized, if you don't get pregnant, the corpus luteum goes on to die. So this is the corpus luteum kind of shriveled up. So the corpus luteum dies. So if this happens, then your body's going to menstruate, you're going to lose your endometrial lining as well as the released egg, and the ovary is going to start maturing follicles again. It's going to start growing some follicles again, and this whole cycle is going to continue again. So if this follicle dies, your ovary starts maturing more follicles again, starts preparing this whole process over again. If your egg does get fertilized, so if the egg does get fertilized, so this is pregnancy, so fertilization, fertilized, or this is the same thing as pregnancy. The corpus luteum continues to grow, so it actually grows even larger. So this is just a rough drawing of the corpus luteum growing even bigger. So we'll say the CL for corpus luteum keeps growing, and it actually starts producing even more hormone. So if the egg is fertilized and you're pregnant, then the corpus luteum keeps growing. And if it doesn't, the egg isn't fertilized, then the corpus luteum dies and the whole cycle starts over again.